Welcome to Monday. Yes, welcome to Monday. And I know that some of you out there, you're like, man, I don't know how I made it through the weekend without you, Professor Paul and Jared. But it's okay. It's all right. We're back. And it is Monday. It's a brand new week. It's a brand new opportunity for you to be a citizen, not a slave. But it's going to require a little bit of effort on your part. I warn you. You can't be a citizen by default. You're like, well, what do you mean? But yeah, I am. I just am. I just woke up today and I was.
Can't be a free citizen.
Yeah, that's right. You can't have liberty by default. It actually takes effort. Oh. Well, welcome. And if you're listening to the sound of my voice, congratulations. I'm glad that you're here. You survived Thursday's purge. On Thursday of last week, you remember that, did we call out the weak? Did we call out the self-righteous, reasonable people?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We called them out. And we don't need them here because I don't need summer soldiers and sunshine patriots. I don't need people that are going to be hanging around just because it's cool or it's fun or it's easy. Those people cannot be relied upon. And we don't need them here. We don't need them in our audience. We don't need them in our nation. We have enough enemies that we don't need weak friends, or they're not even friends, acquaintances. It's like the whole Facebook thing. It's like, oh, our friends, on the official Paul Markel Facebook page, there's probably 50, maybe 100 or so people that I'm actually personally acquainted with and would consider friends. The rest are just acquaintances. All right, it is Monday, so that means we're going to do a SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week. We got a real special one for you guys. What else? You want to talk about something else before we get into there, or anything else before we get into the Warrior of the Week?
We've got.
It is Monday. We've got so much. Whew, I'm just wrapping my brain around this. I'm trying to ingest the coffee. I've got my official. Oh, it's an official Gunsight coffee mug. I just remembered that.
Yeah, we can talk about the fact that I forgot to get my coffee, and none is appearing here.
Your PA. You don't have a PA to bring you coffee.
My PA is at yoga.
Did I tell the PA story on the radio about the greatest PA in the world?
Oh no, tell that. That's funny.
You guys are a PA. For those of you who don't know what that means, at least in our world, a PA is a production assistant. And that is, if you want to get into the movies, or you want to get into TV, or you want to get into the Los Angeles Hollywood culture, and you're just a young skull full of mush, you just got out of film school and you're 21 years old and you really want to break into the industry. Nobody's just going to hand you a script and say, here, direct this movie. You have to start at the bottom. And the bottom pretty much is being a production assistant. A lot of production assistants are also, they're college interns. They're in film school or in broadcasting school. But anyway, I was on a set of a TV show that you guys may have seen. It was, what was it? Oh, it was the Maximum Warrior, sponsored by Maxim Magazine. It was the Maximum Warrior Challenge. And it was
I've never heard of Maxim Magazine. What is it?
Really? Okay. Look it up. So anyway, Zachary and I were actually on the set while they were filming. I think it was season 2. I think it was, and it doesn't matter. My point is this: we're out there, and we were out at at Tier 1 training facility in Arkansas, and they were blowing up Tannerite, and there was smoke and vehicles, and people were driving around and shooting and all that stuff, and we're just kind of in the middle, hanging out by where the director was, and this really lovely young lady was standing there, and there was kind of a lull in the action. And it was basically, there was nothing really going on for us for a minute, and it got quiet. And I was just being polite, and I said, "Oh, good morning. How are you doing?" She said, "Good morning." And I said, "Are you a PA?" She said, "Yes, I am. Can I get you something?" I was like, "Oh, you're good. You're good." I said, "That is the absolute correct answer to that question. Are you a PA?" "Yes, I am. Can I get you something?" Because, on these sets, the director doesn't have time to leave the set and go find a cup of coffee. You're like, oh, what an arrogant son of a bitch. No, These people are getting paid hundreds, if not thousands of dollars an hour to be where they are. They don't have time to leave and go get a sandwich. They need to stay there and do their job and let the college intern bring them a sandwich. That's how it works in the real world.
Speaking of sandwiches, do you want to go ahead and announce our new title for the sandwich maker?
Oh, Shannon. Yeah, we were driving yesterday. We were coming back from the range, and somehow the Shannon the sandwich maker came up. I don't even know how. How did it even come up? We were talking about.
I don't know.
I legitimately don't remember how that came up. And we decided that from now on we're just going to call. Whenever Nanny Bloomberg has a mission, whenever he needs to crap on gun owners or he needs to stir up some crap somewhere, he has Shannon on speed dial, and he just gives her a call and tells her where she needs to go and what she needs to do because she is his paid prostitute. So we're just going to start referring to Shannon as Nanny Bloomberg's favorite call girl. So.
Yeah, she'll be relieved of her sandwich making duties, and she can be a call girl.
Well,
now.
she is his favorite call girl. So we want to give credit where credit is due, and whenever Nanny Bloomberg needs somebody to stir up some crap about the Second Amendment or freedom or liberty, he places a call to his favorite girl Shannon, and she goes and marches out and performs. She performs as she's commanded to perform. So she's his favorite call girl. We knew. We didn't think. I knew that you folks out there would appreciate that. Oh, and for all of you members of the elitist media who are just tuning in to try and catch me, remember what I said? Was it Friday I said I needed to put a show note in there? I think it was. Well, I did. I put a show note in there.
And it's in red.
It's in red. Yeah, I wanted to acknowledge the small number of elitist media members who tune into the show just to try and catch me saying something that I shouldn't say. P.S. There is nothing that I shouldn't say. There are things that I choose not to say. But I'm a man. I'm an adult man living in free America, so there's nothing that I shouldn't say. Unlike you metrosexuals that live in D.C. and New York and places like that where you're essentially a slave. You've sold your soul to the elitist masters up there. I live in free America. I'm a free man, and there's nothing that I shouldn't say. There are only things that I choose not to say.
Hey, that phone company made me proud to say I am Metro.
Well, congratulations for that, and I'm glad that you're working that out in your own special way.
I think they scrubbed that commercial because I haven't heard it lately.
Well, I don't know, but it was pretty vag-tastic. It really was.
It was interesting.
So do you want to go ahead and do the Warrior of the Week and then go get yourself some coffee so you don't freak out over there?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of vag-tastic, but not really. You know what I mean? It's the Warrior of the Week, but it's
the SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week.
Yeah.
And because of this particular warrior this week, Jared decided he was going to change up the traditional theme song just a little bit.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Hey, Professor Paul, and hey, Jared, it's Kurt Lowenstein from Cincinnati. My question is, I was at a outdoor show and I got approached about applying for a Florida carry license, claiming that it was good in more states than my Ohio. My question is it really worth the money, time, and effort to apply for that license and get it? Or is my Ohio almost as good as the Florida license? Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Oh, and Jared plays that because that's Kurt's favorite Student of the Gun theme song in the whole widest world. But Jared, remind Kurt what he needs to do to get his free SWAT Fuel plus P.
Kurt, I need you to email Alex, ALEX, at studentofthegun.com. Email her your name, mailing address, phone number, and please include your email typed in the body there. And then you will get a free bottle of 9mm plus P sent out to you.
From SWAT Fuel.
From SWAT Fuel, yeah.
So very cool. And if you're not a winner, you can just go to SWATfuel.com and you can get your own.
Well, everybody that can hear our voice is a winner because they're listening to us.
And that's true. Now, before I answer Kurt's question, if you do go to, just real quick, I want to make sure you guys do know, if you go to SWATfuel.com and you decide to make a purchase, you can put in SOTG2015 as a promo code, and it takes 10% off your total order. So you can do that too. All right, to your concealed carry permit question, Kurt. That is a good question. I've known a lot of folks in my lifetime that have had Florida concealed carry permits. I actually had one because I lived in Florida. And ironically, I also had an Ohio one because I lived in Ohio. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Is it worth it? That's totally 100% up to you because some people don't really travel. I mean, let's face it. Some people haven't left their state, or maybe they travel to the next state over and then back. Some people just don't travel. So really, then it's pointless. If you don't travel, then there's no point in it. The whole purpose of having another state's concealed carry permit is for reciprocity. So let's say you want to leave Ohio, you want to do a driving trip and go all the way down through North Carolina and South Carolina and Georgia and all over the place, and you want to be covered legally. You want to be a legally armed citizen everywhere you go. And we're going to talk about that in great detail tomorrow. And this is a good lead up to that, about what does it mean to be a legally armed citizen. What you're going to need to do, though, wherever you happen to be, whether it's Ohio or Kansas, or, I mean, as long as you live in free America, if you live in an area where they still have you say Mother May I, if you live in Maryland, for instance, or New York, or the People's Republic of California, it's really a moot point because you're a slave, and whether you're a comfortable slave or an uncomfortable slave, it's up to you. But the fact is, you're still a slave. I'm not a slave. Yes, you are. Just deal with it. I mean, come on. Let's be real.
Especially
if you live in Maryland, you are a slave.
Or New Jersey.
If you live in New Jersey, you are a slave. Now, you might be a comfortable slave, and that's cool. Now, there is a caveat to that, though, Jared. There are people that are in California and Maryland and New Jersey and New York that aren't slaves, that are slave masters. But I'm assuming that most of the slave masters don't listen to me right now.
So, real quick, to deal with Kurt's specific question, I went to usacarry.com, and they've got the little map thingy that you can click on your state. And I clicked on Ohio, and then I'll click on Florida, too. And the only one that is honored by adding Florida is Texas. If you don't have the Florida permit, you're not good in Texas. If you do, then you are.
Excellent.
Other than that, that's the only state. But anyway, go to usacarry.com. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a tab on the mobile app, on the Student of the Gun mobile app. So download the mobile app, go to the CCW tab.
Oh, did your brain just explode over there?
Yeah, and then you guys can... I'm not sure how the mobile site is for this specific page on their site.
Yeah, you better check.
So, but I'm going to try it out. I'll leave it there for a little while, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll change it. But go to the Student of the Gun mobile app, click on the CCW tab, and then you can choose your state and see what states reciprocate with your permit.
Very good. I am actually kind of proud of Ohio because when Ohio first instituted their concealed carry permit law in 2004, it was pretty jacked up. It was a shall issue, but it was a shall issue with a whole bunch of weird caveats that were in it. And I think that I know that the senators and the legislators, the representatives that put the bill through, they're like, these morons, these reasonable moron people are screwing things up for us. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to get this thing passed. We're going to get the linguini-spined governor to go ahead and sign this thing. There was a Republican governor who was a middle-of-the-road, moderate kind of a guy, and he would only sign it if all the heads of Ohio law enforcement approved of it. Well, and the sheriffs were behind it, and then you had your politician chiefs that weren't, and then you had the commandant of the Ohio State Highway Patrol, who was firmly against allowing people. Oh, I see it. And let me tell you what, if you know anything that hacks me off more, it's when somebody who works for the state makes a public statement about whether or not citizens should be allowed to do this or that. Yeah. Like he was born into the hierarchy or into the ruling class, or he's part of the landed gentry. Maybe he was part of the landed gentry. All right, the following segment of Student of the Gun, wow, we're 15 minutes in already. The following segment of Student of the Gun Radio is brought to you by Frog Lube. And we did go to the range this weekend, and we frog lubed up our guns. I said, hey, Jared, did you frog lube up that gun? And he said, no. And I said, because it was a brand new gun that actually we'd just gotten out of the box and we tested for the very first time. It was the new TP9SA. The new brown one, the Desert Tan TP9 SA. And Jared, if you want to go ahead and get yourself coffee, you could do that. I'm going to vamp for a little bit here. So we were at the range. We had the brand new TP9 SA, the Desert Tan one. That's a pistol. It's a 9mm striker-fired pistol. We just got it out of the package, and I said, hey, did you put frog lube on that? And Jared's like, no, I didn't. So I reached into the bag, and I threw him some, and he lubed up the gun. And we had a great time. Jared put about 200 rounds through that gun with a combination of ammo that we got from Century Arms. Century Arms, not only do they sell guns, but they sell ammunition as well. And we met some guys up at the NRA annual meeting in Nashville, and it's a company that's from Tennessee, and it's two guys that are Army veterans. I believe one of them is a service-disabled veteran. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure about that. But they have a company called Vet Made Ammo. Not like veterinarian, but like veteran, VET Made Ammo. And they gave us a couple of boxes of 9mm and 45 to try out. And, of course, we tried out the 9mm and the TP9 SA, and it worked just fine. It worked great. It was full metal jacket, practice ammo, which is, all you need at the range when you're just practicing. Worked out really well. And finally, the last person we're going to mention before I get into the meat, into the heart of this story, is Brownells. Brownells.com. If you own a gun, they've got something for you. That's pretty much the end of that story. But go to Brownells.com and see what they've got. And even though you missed out on the opportunity to win that new pistol, they do have the new Edge program. And if you purchase a lot of stuff from Brownells, if you're there, if you're like a lot of gun guys and you're at the Brownells website, you find yourself there like once a week looking to see what you need, you might want to go ahead and sign up for that Edge program, because over the period of the next year or so, you're going to save yourself some money. Are we a happy camper now?
I am a happy camper now. It's I got what is it? It says shh, and then halfway down it says almost there, and then it says now you can talk.
No. Now that would be your mom's cup. The title for this particular episode is Thirst for Liberty. Last weekend, I was sitting out on my front porch. As a matter of fact, these are some notes from the 24-hour blackout. And if you guys don't know what the 24-hour blackout is, you need to go back and look at it. But I was sitting out on the porch, and I had several books that I was reading. That's one of the things that I was able to do during the 24-hour blackout was read. We did yard work, and we did some physical stuff, but I also read. And I was reading the book Don't Tread on Me. And it's a 400-year history of the American war and Indian fighting and so forth. And I was also reading the book Dynamic Freedoms, which I know some of you guys have availed yourselves to, and good job. Everybody out here listening to my voice, if you buy no other book, I want you to buy the book Dynamic Freedoms. You're probably not going to find it at your local, because it's out of print. You're probably not going to find it at your local Barnes & Noble or Walmart or whatever, but you can get it on Amazon. And
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How in the year 2015 is a book out of print?
That's a good question. Well, they're out of print because the original publishers either are no longer in business. Like I've got a couple of books that are out of print right now because the original publishers either just stopped making them or they went out of business. My first ever book, the first book that I ever wrote, 6 months after they released my book, the publisher went out of business. But and so they just.
But I have one hard copy.
You possess
so that will be
one of the few
in
the existence. Yeah. So like I said, if the NSA knocks me off, you'll have something to sell on eBay. Oh, but I was sitting on the porch, and I when I read, I deliberately take a pen, a notebook, a highlighter. Sometimes the books that I have, for instance, like The Art of War or the Five Rings, I take a highlighter or a mechanical pencil out, and I write notes in the margins to myself. And in this case, I wanted to take some notes. And one of the things I wrote when I was reading the book, Dynamic Freedoms, was this: thirst for liberty. And I want you to think about that. You know, everyone who's listening to me at some point in their life has been thirsty. And when you're thirsty, do you think about anything else? Jared, when you're done working out, like if you go and run and you're sweating and you're dripping and you walk out and you're thirsty, can you just say, well, I am thirsty, but I'm going to go do something else for a while and then eventually I'll quench that thirst?
No.
No. When you're thirsty, when you thirst for something, that is your desire. That is your drive. That is your main focus. And that is what I want for you. That is what I want for every single person in this listening audience. I want you to thirst for liberty. And remember, when I use the term liberty, I'm not talking about freedom. Because people throw that out all the time. Freedom, I got the freedom to do this, and the freedom, and freedom, and freedom, freedom, freedom. People have misused the terminology, and they think that freedom is just a default, and that it's just a happy byproduct of your birth, of wherever you happen to be. I was born free, I have freedom, da, 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 da. No, you cannot have freedom without liberty, and liberty requires effort. Remember, liberty is like light. It requires energy and application. It's not a default. You don't just have liberty just because. You know, I've discussed this, and hopefully you heard the episode "Liberty is Light." But people believe erroneously that just by being born in the United States guarantees them freedom and liberty, and it doesn't. It does not at all guarantee them that. I want you to think, and I don't want you to ever be satisfied. When I say thirst for liberty, I want you to always be thirsty for liberty. I don't ever want you to feel like you've been satisfied, now I don't need it anymore. And I also back that up, and this may make you want to go get something to eat, but be hungry for freedom. I want you to hunger for freedom. Demand independence at every turn. You're like, wow, at every turn? I mean, come on. No, seriously, I want you to demand independence at every turn. And if someone, some entity, some organization, some person is trying to make you dependent, is trying to strip you of your independence or your liberty, I want you to rebuff that attempt. I want you to curtail it. I want you to say no. Put your hand up and say no. I want you to question it. And you say, well, that's never happened to me. No one has ever tried to curtail my liberty. No one has ever tried to, take my independence. Really?
Dude, I was just thinking of being thirsty and cutting weight and how thirsty you get. And then I was like, well, my rehydration is Pedialyte. You know what we are? We're Pedialyte for Patriots.
Pedialyte for Patriots.
Yeah.
We're like Powerade for Patriots. I don't know. All right, I'm going to give you a great example. And we've talked about this previously. The bonus hour, we talked about the public schools Nazis, the psychological terrorists at public schools. There's a great example. If you have your kids at public school and you get a note from the public school that tells you, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. blah, 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 you are required to, your child must. It is a requirement that you are not allowed to." Anything like that, any kind of words of that nature, where someone has just decided, not based upon the law, not based upon malum inse, but based upon their bureaucratic authority, they're going to tell you what you can and cannot do. Your radar should be pinging, and you should, and I know guys out there with reasonable wives or wives out there with reasonable husbands, and it's kind of like we said a year or two ago. It was probably more than. How long has it been since we talked about the wives of your husband, like the wives whose husbands don't like guns?
They have wives.
And they also have wives too. But when you run into things like that, when you run into a city council that has decided that we're going to do this because it's the right thing to do, you need to hold up your hands and say, no, stop. I don't care what you think the right thing to do is. Do you have the authority, the constitutional authority, to do that? I don't care if you think or feel that it's right. Do you have the constitutional authority to do that? Well, everybody believes. No, stop. This isn't mob rule. And you're going to get that. Well, we took a poll and most people believe that such and such is a human right. Okay, that's called mob rule. And the Constitution was put in place to curtail things like that. Because all mob rule is, it's high school all over again. It's junior high. It's getting everybody to vote for the popular kid or the popular girl. All right, that's all that is. The United States of America is not founded. It was not founded on mob rule or, well, we're just going to vote for whatever is popular today. Or we're going to do this because the newspapers have all come out. And I know newspapers, the news organizations, they're all pushing this agenda. So it must be the right thing to do. I want you to thirst for liberty. I want you to be hungry for freedom. And I want you to embrace an appetite for self-reliance. Embrace the appetite for self-reliance. And everywhere you turn, there are agencies and organizations, whether public or private, that are encouraging you to not be self-reliant, to rely on another agency, a government entity, a private agency, someone to take care of your individual problems or needs or whatever. You're hungry, you're thirsty, you want utilities, you want housing, you want a phone, you want this. That's not your responsibility. You shouldn't have to take care of that. Anything that you're given, remember this, and you guys know this because you're smart people and you're listening to me, but you do have some people, I guess there may be some people in our audience's lives that don't listen to us, Jared. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, here's the thing. If there are people in your life that are not listening to this show, that kind of makes me sad. That thought makes me sad, Jared.
He's crying over there.
I don't know.
See it here.
I don't know if I can go on with that realization.
Well, you just gave them enough time to bring those people into the room. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
So at least they can help you out by doing that.
Okay.
How can what is it? What do you say? How can you help me? What can you do to help me?
What can you do to help me?
Yeah.
No, I want you to embrace self-reliance, because where I was going with this is I want you to realize, and I want you to help other people realize, that anything that is given to you can be taken away. Do you understand that? If something is given to you, then it also can be taken from you. However, if you earn something that is earned is not easily taken away. Something that you earn with your own sweat, your own effort, that's not something that can be easily taken from you. But things that are just given to you out of government benevolence or an agency or, their benevolence, those things go away very quickly, very easily. It's kind of like, I try and press upon Jared that people that are these overnight successes or have overnight fame. I was joking with a friend of mine. We were joking, and he says, yeah, it only took me 15 years to become an overnight success. Yeah. But people that get things quickly and easily, and they don't last. Think about it like that. How many pop stars, or how many of you remember a band called Oasis? You're like, I think I've heard that name. what is it? It's probably been 12 years. It's been a long time since the band Oasis had their first hit. They had a hit single, and it went to #1, and it was on every radio all the time, constantly. And these turds were so full of themselves. They gave interviews about how they were the greatest band since the Beatles, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And guess where they are today? No one cares.
So what you acquire quickly, you can also lose quickly.
Yeah, no one cares. So when it comes to liberty, when it comes to freedom, when it comes to your own independence, embrace the appetite for self-reliance. I want you to do that. And I want you to be courageous, and I want you to also embrace your inheritance. Yes, your inheritance. Your inheritance as occupants of the United States of America, as citizens of the United States of America, if you had the happy accident of being born within the borders of the United States of America, the inheritance that was bought and paid for you is liberty. But you have to embrace it. You have to take it. You have to make it your own. It's not just going to happen just because that's the nice thing. It's not going to happen because it's just supposed to. Liberty is like light, and light requires energy. Darkness is the default, and slavery is the default of man. Without your effort, without you holding up your hand and saying, no, stop, I'm not going to allow you to take my liberty. You don't have the authority to order my life like you think you do. If you just put your head down and go along with it, the default is slavery. And that is the default of man. And I could get into it a little farther, but I'm not going to. That's what I'm going to leave you with right now. Liberty is like light. And I want you, every single day, I want you to thirst for liberty. All right, the following segment of Student of the Gun Radio is brought to you by Crossbreed Holsters. If you want to attach a gun to your body, Crossbreed Holsters has a holster for you. They have something to help you attach a gun to your body, to a bag, to a car, to a vehicle, to a bed, to a piece of furniture, anything you want to attach a gun to, a bicycle, they can help you. And Velocity Triggers. They are designed for precision. If you've got a black rifle, Velocity Triggers has a trigger for you. And you can check those guys out at velocitytriggers.com. And yes, it is that easy. You can install it at your own workbench, at your own kitchen table. Just follow the directions, dudes.
I did it for the first time. I changed the trigger for the first time ever. And I put in a Velocity trigger, and it took us, 10 minutes maybe?
When you built Mars?
Yeah. When you, that was it.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was the first time I ever did it, and it took less than 10 minutes to put the trigger in. I think it took 10 minutes to put the whole gun together.
Yeah, well, not the whole gun together, but
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, the upper was already complete.
Yeah. All right, so we got a Go Team moment, and there's not a gun involved in here, but it's still a Go Team moment, so we thought we'd start it out with the appropriate theme song.
That's why I say him and I shine.
A good shot, man, and that is Filter, and Filter is the official Go Team moment theme song, and a lot of times we have a nice shot, but this one here comes to us from IJReview.com. A student whips out a knife. He said, "Excuse me while I whip this out." No, he didn't say that. A student whips out a knife in the middle of a library. That's when a member of the ROTC stood up. Oh, you mean one of those evil military-type people? Someone who aspires. You know what ROTC is, Jared? Do you know what ROTC stands for? Reserve Officers Training Corps. That's like for these college kids that want to be officers someday. So they get in the ROTC and they go to college, and they also do Army stuff. 21-year-old Leo Labogen, it's Labogen. I don't know. I don't want to butcher it. Or maybe I do.
Was that a pun?
Yeah. Leo Labogen was talking loudly on the phone while students in the University of Nebraska Omaha library were trying to study for finals. Well, that's just rude. So that's when Brendan Vale asked Labogen to go outside of the library if he wanted to finish his call. Pretty reasonable thing, and quite frankly, it's just rude. Labogen responded by pulling out a knife. And that's when Vale knew it was a threat. That's when Vale, quote, knew it was a threat and this person had crossed the line, so it was time to do something about it. Vale, who spent 12 years in the U.S. Army and the ROTC program, okay, this isn't just a college kid. This is a dude who was actually in the Army and decided to go to college. This is not a guy who's 19 years old. 12 years in the Army and the ROTC program, immediately grabbed Labogen's wrist, disarmed him after he threatened to cut students' throats. So the dude's yakking on his phone like a douche nozzle, and somebody's like, hey, buddy, take it outside. And, I'm going to cut your throat. Oh, you are? I think you're going to eat some carpet.
How'd that work for you?
Yeah, so Vale and two other students helped Vale subdue Labogen, and students were able to remove all 3 knives from him. This crapbag had 3 knives on him, huh? Well, now he's Omaha police quickly arrived and arrested Labogen, who was charged with attempted felony assault. Students are praising Vale. One of them summed up his heroic actions by saying, knowing that there are people on campus who are ready to help out and do what's necessary to keep people safe is a relief. Wow. Wow. Juxtapose this.
Shouldn't everybody be willing to do what's necessary to keep people safe? I mean, if everybody was willing to do that, it wouldn't be such an anomaly.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. And we're glad to bring this Go Team moment to you guys. We absolutely are. We're happy to. You know what, Jared? I'm going to go ahead and let me take a look at the show notes. I'm going to go ahead and put in we've still got 7-8 minutes. Let's go ahead and juxtapose what just happened there in Omaha, Nebraska, where a responsible student stood up and defended fellow students by doing what needed to be done, right?
Yeah.
Well, compare that to what happened in Illinois. I got I just dropped in the YouTube link. You can start it. It's actually only a 2-minute video, but I want you to play it, and I want everybody to listen. So here we've got a guy, a college student, who is a military veteran, but there are a lot of those guys. Do you folks realize that? How many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of hardcore military veterans are currently populating and walking around universities in America? A lot. I mean, we've been in this whole, global war on terror for going on 12 years now. But can you play it? You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, go ahead, and I want you guys, the previous story happened in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, this story here happened in the glorious People's Republic of Illinois.
Good evening. A threat made against a building on SIU's campus this morning caused police to tighten security. News 3's Michelle Medeiros is live near Fainer Hall tonight. And Michelle, is it back to business as usual?
Mark, everything appears to be as normal here. You can see some students walking behind me. The administration says, though, there was a threat made on an app called Yik Yak, only to be taken down shortly after. But that left some students questioning their safety on campus. A threat made on the anonymous posting app Yik Yak has a lot of people talking. Wednesday morning, SIU officials got wind of a threat on Fainer Hall.
We have not seen the threat. We've only seen reports of the threat, so I can't say what the actual initial post was, other than it was a fairly vague threat.
Ray Goldsmith, SIU's spokesperson, says police are looking into it all the same.
We have no reason to believe it's a credible threat. We're beefing up the security presence just as a precaution.
The university says an officer carrying an AR-15 began patrolling the area, but was removed 10 minutes later. Bryce Mortensen, a freshman, thinks that sight would have made him more concerned.
I feel like that kind of powerful rifle is a little bit too much for what's going on.
Goldsmith says administrators want students to feel comfortable going about their business on campus.
And if we had any concerns that this was a credible or real threat, we would be notifying the campus through a campus alert.
Ryan Folker says the university has done a good job keeping students informed in the past.
I feel like it's a pretty safe campus. Like the supposed shooting that happened recently, there was alerts going on my phone all the time. Just keep me updated.
But Jordan Gaston says all the info she got on this incident was what people were tweeting.
A gun threat to Feiner and that there were police roaming the hallways this morning.
That's the issue, is that a lot of people can post anything and they become perceived to be facts.
I have seen a few patrol cars driving around campus, but I've yet to see any police in uniform. I reached out to SIU police for a comment, and they referred me to the SIU administration. Live in Carbondale, Michelle Medeiros, News 3.
So, did you guys hear that? A Yik Yak threat against a building. What did this person on Yik Yak have against the building? Did the building offend him? Was the building offensive, Jared?
I guess.
Jared
I'm trying to think of how a building could be offensive.
So this is how they actually had it was a non-story. Did you notice they were never able to put their hands on an actual bad guy? They weren't even able. The school administrator says, "Well, I didn't see the threat, but I just saw reports of the threat." So, someone told me, someone tweeted that there was a Yik Yak threat against a building.
You know what's funny?
What?
The people that built the Yik Yak app are like, thank you, Lord, that this happened, because now we have 10 million
Because now
downloads.
people actually are Googling us and they're finding out who we are. But the biggest thing right here was, you know what came out of this whole thing? It wasn't that people were angry about someone posting a Yik Yak threat against a building. It wasn't that they were in fear. The biggest issue out of this was that a campus police officer had an AR-15 rifle and was patrolling. And I love how they go and get a college freshman and they ask him, "What did you think about that?" "Well, that black rifle was too much. That there, I think that such a powerful rifle was an overreaction in this." Dude, who removed your testicles? When I was at college, I wasn't a college freshman ever, but when I was 18, 19 years old and I saw a dude with a black rifle, I'd been like, "Dude, what is that? Let me look at that. Is that a Colt? What is that?" You know? This guy's like, "I think such a powerful rifle was an overreaction." What the hell do you know? You little vag, shut up. You know nothing. And that was the whole thing out of this entire thing. It wasn't that there was a feigned threat. It wasn't that people are running around like a bunch of scared chickens looking at their phone for updates. It was that a campus police officer had a black rifle and was patrolling. That's what we need to be afraid of in Illinois.
People are afraid of the gun.
Yeah.
By itself.
They were afraid They were afraid of a uniformed police officer with a rifle. That's what we really need to be concerned about. And we have back channel information that the officer in that case, because here's what happened. It went out as there was a threat was sent out to campus police, and it was one of those alert systems where they said, "We just received a threat. Campus administration has posted a blah, blah, blah." So they sent the cops out, and one of the cops got his patrol rifle out of his trunk and was walking around. And
smart cop, because that's probably the best.
It wasn't. Well, it was a smart cop, but because of the reaction, the officer in question has been disciplined for having the rifle out and patrolling based on that threat. Now, what if it was like Virginia Tech, where some douche nozzle really did? Would you want to shoot that guy with a rifle? Would you want to shoot the Virginia Tech guy with a rifle, or would that be just too much? Ugh. Folks, I just wanted to give you a comparison. Here we got Omaha, Nebraska, where students see something wrong, they see a threat, and they're like, "You know what? Enough of this crap. We're going to deal with it." Bam. And then you got the slaves in Illinois. They're like,
I saw a Yik-Yak app and a message, and I'm scared now. I'm going to look in my phone for further updates.
You freaking worthless vaginas, you oxygen thieves. Ugh. Why do you send me stories from Illinois, Jared? I don't want to hear any more about those slaves. But anyway, that's it. Tomorrow we're going to talk about legally armed citizen and what exactly does that mean. But until then, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, remember this. You're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.